Hello, Tim from Fair Play Now on the 10th of November 2021, and we are just about hitting the time where the rubber meets the road as far as care home staff workers are concerned. And up and down the country, sadly, many of them are facing the very last shift of a job that they, on the whole, absolutely love. And it is a job that you have to love. They certainly don't do it for money. These are sort of dedicated, hard-working, wonderful people who care and who want to serve their communities. And in many cases, they've been doing so for years and decades. And today and tomorrow, they are going to be potentially out of a job through no fault of their own. Their only crime or misdemeanor, whatever you want to say, is that they want to maintain bodily autonomy and maintain their own choice as to what goes into their bodies. And the evil people in charge are hounding them out of their jobs just because of that. And it is despicable. It is a day of despicableness, if that's a word. And I just cannot tell you how angry I am that this country as a whole is allowing this wickedness to happen, and that the people in charge, the powers that shouldn't be, are doing this to good, honest, hard-working people. But I believe the kind of consensus of opinion or advice seems to be that, you know, if you are in that position, you are a care home worker, stick to your guns, stay in your job if you possibly can, and let them sack you, and do not either A, capitulate and have the big V, or resign your position. And if you kind of let them sack you, which hopefully in many cases they won't, but if that does happen, you will at least have redress and be able to go after your employers and maybe even the government eventually for some very well deserved compensation. So moving on to the very closely related sort of thing, news article. I believe that, well, it seems to be all over mainstream media at the moment, that sort of November Hotel Sierra staff will have to have their, you know what, big V before next April. So that's lovely, isn't it? They're going to kind of use you, if you're a member of that organisation, during the busy winter period, and no doubt expect you to work your knackers off, only for you to be sort of booted out in the spring. So I'm hoping that there'll be a lot of pushback by then, and that the government will be forced to back down from that April deadline. And they've obviously already been forced to back down from doing it any sooner than that, you know, kind of during the autumn. And let's hope that continues on into the spring as well. I'm hopeful that will happen, and I'm even hopeful that there will be some kind of back down on the care home staff situation as well, but we'll have to wait and see as you know, as far as that's concerned. Moving on to sort of big V passports. Well, we always knew, didn't we, that the kind of big V passports, oh, it's just for large events and nightclubs, and nothing else is in the pipeline at the moment. Well, we knew that was going to be thin end of the wedge stuff, didn't we? And surprise, surprise, considering that Wales and Scotland only introduced those things into those areas last month, they're already talking of extending it to theatres and cinemas, and if that then happens, it won't be long until you're talking about sort of pubs, restaurants, larger shops, supermarkets and the like. And that is why we need to continue fighting tooth and nail against these cursed things, cursed big V passports, because this is, as people like Carl Vernon and many others have said, this is an abusive relationship we're in, and that's how these user abusers, as I call them, people who use and abuse you, that's how they always work, isn't it? And you've seen it in your private life, you know, that sort of boss you don't like, who sort of tells you just when you're sort of packing up at the end of the day, oh, can you just do this sort of quick thing? It only take 5 minutes. You know, it's dead easy work. Just take you 5 minutes, and then you look at it and you sort of sigh, and because you know it's not going to take 5 minutes. It's going to take an hour, hour and a half, and you know full well that they knew that right from the start. But if they can just get in with a quick little, oh yeah, it's just a 5 minute thing, that's how they kind of get you. And so we know that's how these user abusers work, and that's exactly how these governments and administrations are working now. So you're seeing user abuser, their sort of modus operandi operating right now. And you know that once they get the thin end of the wedge into this country, England, that it won't be long before it's rolled out more and more and more. So we just need to, like any bully, you need to stand up to them and just say, no, we're not having it, get lost. Take your sort of big V passports and just get lost, we're not having it. So I think it's really despicable that we are looking at this, you know, these combined loss of freedoms or potential loss of freedoms just right on the cusp of sort of Armistice Day, the anniversary of that, and remembrance. All those people who fought and died for our freedoms, and that now they're just being trampled all over by, no doubt, a load of hypocrites, you know, as far as the government and the powers that shouldn't be, who will sort of probably be standing there tomorrow with their sort of poppies on, really supposedly paying their respects to the war dead, and when they know full well that they are going against the very thing why those people from the wars died. And yeah, the irony will probably be lost on most people, but we know, don't we? I know, and you know, if you're watching this, that such people are utter hypocrites, and believe you me, they are going to pay the price eventually. You know, we know who they all are, the Sturgeons, the Drakefords, the Johnsons, the Khans, and moving abroad, the Bidens, Macrons, the Ardерns, the Dan Andrews, and all of these dreadful people. You know, we now know the extent of their evil, and we know the extent of their we know that they're just petty despots, who just love their kind of time in authoritarian sort of rule and tyranny. But yeah, it's not going to last forever, and we are going to sort of fight back, and eventually they will be standing in court. They may well be sort of laughing at people like me and other people who say this kind of thing right now, saying, yeah, right, yeah, whatever. But very soon, I don't think it's going to be very long, they're going to start getting, maybe a little bit anxious, slightly anxious, and then that will sort of then turn into, a little bit sort of more nervous. And then they'll be running scared because they know that their time is short before they're sort of hauled up in front of the courts and made to account for themselves. And just as a kind of last little message of hope, that process is apparently actually starting. Big Brother Watch, which is an organisation I know many people watching this will probably know, so perhaps you as well. And it's saying breaking news here. We have just started a legal challenge against mandatory Lurgy passes in Wales. Now, this Big Brother Watch, there's some quite high-powered people in there, and they've got access to some top lawyers. And yeah, they are sort of bringing this sort of legal challenge as far as Wales is concerned, and I believe that is going to be, well, it doesn't say what the timeline is, but I suppose these legal challenges, they don't happen overnight, but yeah, it could be one to watch, and let's hope the right result comes out of Wales, and then that will be the start of their house of cards well and truly falling. So I'll leave it there for now on that message of hope. Tim from Fair Play Now, thanks for watching.